Hey basketball fans, get ready. We're about to jump into the wild tale of a team that went from being dismissed as underdogs to turning into a true powerhouse on the court. They made every win look almost effortless, kind of like watching Tim Duncan casually drop a perfect bank shot when it mattered most. And yeah, we're talking about the San Antonio Spurs, a crew that trusted in the basics while leaving the extra flash for everyone else. The Spurs weren't always the dynasty we know today. In fact, they started as a scrappy ABA team in 1967. Because let's be honest, every great story has humble beginnings. But over the years, they went from just another team in Texas to a basketball powerhouse that gave us legends like David the Admiral Robinson, Tim Duncan, and of course, the basketball philosopher himself, Coach Greg Popovich. With 5 NBA championships, a system that turned unknowns into all-stars, and a fan base as loyal as a H-E-B shopper on a Sunday morning, the Spurs built something special. And today, we're diving deep into how they did it, one pick and roll at a time. Let's get started. Origins in the ABA, 1967 to 1976. The Spurs story begins in 1967 as the Dallas Chaparrals, a charter member of the American Basketball Association, ABA. The team struggled with attendance and identity, and in 1973, new ownership relocated the franchise to San Antonio, rebranding them as the Spurs. Led by coach Tom Nasalki and players like James Silas, George Kervin, the Spurs became a formidable force in the ABA, joining the NBA 1976 to 1980. In 1976, the ABA merged with the NBA, bringing the Spurs into the league alongside the Denver Nuggets, Indiana Pacers, and New York Nets. The transition was not easy, but San Antonio quickly found success, led by the scoring prowess of George the Iceman. Kervin won multiple scoring titles, and his finger roll became legendary. A 4-time scoring champion became the face of the franchise, dazzling with his signature finger roll. Under his leadership, the Spurs solidified themselves as a playoff mainstay. However, despite their consistent presence, they faced challenges when it came to breaking through against the NBA's elite teams. The 1980s, competitive but unfulfilled. The 1980s saw the Spurs as a consistent playoff team, but unable to break through to the NBA Finals. They added stars like Artis Gilmore and Alvin Robertson, but they often fell short in the Western Conference. The departure of Gervin in 1985 marked the end of an era, and by the late 1980s, the Spurs were in need of a new direction. The arrival of David Robinson, 1989 to 1997. The franchise's fortunes changed in 1987 when they drafted David Robinson, though he didn't join the team until 1989 due to his naval commitments. Nicknamed the Admiral, Robinson transformed the team into a contender. He won MVP in 1995, but the Spurs struggled in the playoffs, repeatedly falling short of the NBA Finals. The Tim Duncan era begins. In 1997, the Spurs faced a devastating season due to injuries, including Robinson missing most of the year. This led to the team landing the first overall pick in the draft, where they selected Tim Duncan. Paired with Robinson, Duncan formed the Twin Towers, a defensive and offensive force. In just his second season, Duncan led the Spurs to their first NBA championship in 1999, defeating the New York Knicks. This marked the beginning of a new era. Building a dynasty. David Robinson stepped away in 2003, and almost immediately the team turned to Duncan as its new leader. Head coach Greg Popovich was at the helm, with key figures like Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili right beside him, and Spurs pretty much ruled the 2000s. They snagged championships in 2003, 2005, and 2007, which in many cases marked them as one of that era's standout squads. Generally speaking, Popovich's approach centered on playing together, a solid defense, and a real sense of selflessness, qualities that, in their own way, came to define Spurs basketball. Redemption in the 2014 title. The Spurs continued to be contenders in the early 2010s, but one of their most painful defeats came in the 2013 NBA Finals against the Miami Heat. A missed rebound led to Ray Allen's iconic game-tying three-pointer, and the Spurs lost in 7 games. However, the team bounced back in 2014, playing what many consider the most beautiful basketball ever seen. They dominated the Miami Heat in a revenge series, securing their 5th championship with Kawhi Leonard being named Finals MVP. Post-Duncan era and Kawhi Leonard drama. Tim Duncan retired in 2016, marking the end of an era. The team remained competitive with Kawhi Leonard emerging as a superstar. In 2017, they reached the Western Conference Finals, but were derailed by Leonard's injury against the Golden State Warriors. The following year, tensions grew between Leonard and the organization, leading to his eventual trade to the Toronto Raptors in 2018. The Spurs, now led by DeMar DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge, remained a playoff team but were no longer championship contenders. Rebuilding and looking ahead. As the NBA evolved, the Spurs entered a rebuilding phase. In 2023, they landed the number one pick in the NBA draft and selected Victor Wembanyama, a generational talent. With Popovich still guiding the team and a new core forming, Spurs fans hope to see their franchise rise again. Will the Spurs return to championship glory? Only time will tell. From the ABA to the NBA, from David Robinson to Tim Duncan, and now Victor Wembanyama, the Spurs' journey has been nothing short of legendary. Their culture, success, and impact on basketball remain unparalleled. What do you think the future holds for the Spurs? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more NBA history.